talking about something that's very, very topical, especially now in this day and age. But, something that's, why is it easier to talk to ChatGPT than your family or your loved ones? Why is it easier to talk to an AI than like your manager or your boss? I think, obviously, AI is and feels safer because it's always there. It always listens. It always adjusts, and it never argues. And that was the biggest thing I was reflecting on. It's like these things that are there to be like your constant hype machine, or like your best advocate. It never disagrees with you. It's not wrong with the AI, by the way. It says way more about us than it does about the technology. Something about it is like the AI always honors a request, so it adapts to you, and it always remembers. It's we're designing it to be the thing that's always there. When you talk to a machine, you're never rejected, and that piece in particular is probably the onus of what I'm had something to say about. There's this it's designed to be perfectly understanding, and that contrasts in a very real way with what it is for real human interaction. There's interruptions, misinterpretations, miscommunications. There's emotional tension, and that's the human component. I'm older now. I'm in my 40s. My mom's in her 70s, and when we have conversations, because she is like every great parent, always wants to support, always wants to love, and how she does that is by giving logistics and always an answer. And sometimes a weather conversation. And frankly, like we were able to have, I want a deeper connection. And when we talk, I was like, I don't need directions anymore. I just want you to listen, and I just want to listen to you. We are now having conversations about when she passes. How does she want to have all those things, all the logistics occur? And I think it was avoided for a long time on her end because it's uncomfortable. And when people aren't powerfully present to the fact that we have a beginning and a middle and an end in this iteration, we avoid it. And I had it this past week, and it was a really beautiful space to like say the things to make it immediately, like sometimes not, I'm not just going to go with the flow because it's comfortable on a superficial level. I wanted like a deeper human connection. And honestly, it ended up being a conversation that's going to be a memory, a core memory of mine in my life, because it mattered. And we talked about the things that we often don't talk about. Talk about the things that sometimes take decades to come up with. And in that space, that's what happens with the ability to not be yes to death, essentially. Real connection requires like the negotiations of uncertainty. Like when you're in those spaces, that's like the juice of it. I think that's why it established, and that's why I'm going to remember it versus just another standard. How's the weather? How are you? Where are you? We're outsourcing our emotional labor to algorithms is what's happening. And we're losing the ability to understand how to regulate in conversations. We're losing the ability how to listen. We're losing the ability to handle tension, to build patience, to build empathy, to build the ability to repair when you've erred, the ability to acknowledge, to take self-responsibility and say, this is something that I erred in and I would like to correct it. I would like to make it right. I would like to make it better. Because the AIs remove all of that. They just make everything that you're saying gold and everything's perfect. And when everything is filtered through a device, the brain truly stops practicing regulation in real time. And for me, now, like, not only is it the work I do, but that's a concern of mine. Kind of why I want people to hone that and develop that. Use the technologies always as resources of supplementary support, but not as a replacement at all. And this isn't about AI. It's literally about the slow erosion and tolerance for difference. The very thing that I've always, my entire existence, loved about humanity is our variedness, our diversity, all of our differences that make living interesting. And there's a uniformity that starts to happen when you avoid tension. Because that's the thing I said time and again, right? The growth doesn't happen in the comfort. It actually happens in the friction. That's where the growth, tear down a muscle, it literally breaks down and gets bigger and grows. Your heart breaks emotionally and you endured that. And then the capacity for it can have expansion. Leaders in general, they need to feel safe enough to stay in the hard conversations without outsourcing that emotional regulation. It's the thing, like when we use these technologies, like AI can mirror you, but it can't meet you. And leaders thrive when they can sit in the discomfort long enough to grow with it, to grow through it, and to grow from it. So, like, what I've been reflecting on is the more we avoid each other, the more fragile we become. Something I would ask you is, when's the last time you had a hard conversation face to face? Where have you replaced human friction with digital comfort? Where do you kind of use it as a salve? Sometimes for an oversensitivity. Technology can help us. It can't hold us. Connection takes practice. It is a skill. And if we stop practicing it, then we lose invariably the very muscle that makes us human. Curious to hear what you think.